All right, guys, Andrew Bopros here. Hey, I want to do a real quick video on our offensive line, where it stands, what could be happening, what Tom Telesco and Brandon Staley may be thinking about doing next. Get a little deeper in the mind, kind of the tea leaves of potentially what we're going to be looking at moving forward with our offensive line being banged up as it is. As always, bolts up. Let's get into it. All right, guys, there's a really quick little article that I found, I should say, that talks a little bit about the Chargers, where we're at, what might be a good opportunity for us to look at losing our boy Rashawn Slater, right? This is a huge blow. Ruptured bicep. It's horrible. Something didn't come back. He's gone for the season. It's absolutely frustrating. That's what we're looking at now moving forward. Left tackle position is huge, right? Let's maybe take a look at some of the upcoming players that we're potentially going to be facing this season on the left side. And it doesn't get exciting, guys. I mean, you got to remember, Rashawn Slater was absolutely fantastic stopping the pass rush, right? He was absolutely incredible. I'm going to go through some statistics on this here as well, too, in this video. But take a look at some of the folks that we're going to be looking at here pretty soon. Jared Hughes, Myles Garrett, Bradley Chubb twice, our old boy Uchenna Nwosu, Nick Bosa, J.J. Watt, Melvin Ingram. And look, at the end of the day, guys, that's a huge amount of talent that we're going to be facing on the left side, right? Currently, Storm Norton is there. How do you guys feel about him being on the left side? I'm going to go through some statistics on what he did when he came in during that game. And it's tough. It's really an interesting discussion around where we need to go from here. And Chandler Jones is having a great year. And I'll tell you right now, I promise you, Storm would just get demolished against Chandler Jones at this point. But there's a lot to discuss. We're going to go a little bit more into Corey Lindsley, what I think about him, and really where we stand, even with the center moving forward. But let's also talk a little bit about some potential free agents that are out there that we could potentially go get. So, again, I'm just showing you a couple of different tweets. You got Eric Fisher out there, Darrell Williams. We talked about him in the offseason. Robbie Massey, I don't really know the other two. Obviously, Ryan Bulaga and some of his issues. Nate Solder. There's a lot of players out there. Look, bottom line, we got to get this fixed, right? The line is horrible. And I said this in our post-game show during getting beat by the Jags as badly as we did. Big part of that problem was that, look, we've had immense issues ever since Corey Lindsley went down, right? Obviously, Pipkins went down literally the next series. And then, obviously, we lose Rashawn Slater. The anchor isn't playing that great, right? I mean, it's interesting. And now we got our boy here, Storm Norton, right? This is an interesting little tweet here at the bottom. So Matt Fowler, the anchor, has not had a great season so far. And Storm Norton, just, boy, leading the league and just giving up. This is versus the Jags. And mind you, Storm wasn't even in the game. Yeah, I think just I think he just came in the second half, if I remember correctly. And guys, that's just horrible. And again, Zion done well, but look, the line has to perform well. And the line has not performed well. One of the ones that's really shocking to me right now, Trey Pipkins is amazing. He's done a great job. Thank God he's having a bounce-back season. Will Clapp has done very well. That's a little bit shocking. Again, this is just the Jags. This is per PFF, of course, but then Rashawn Slater obviously was locked down. But, guys, it's a problem. We know this. You know this. My thoughts, just before we go through this article, is I do think that most likely we will go after one of those guys in free agency. I think they're probably on the horn, calling their agents, having a conversation, and trying to get somebody in. Our boy Storm is not going to be the answer, right? Look, I think Storm did a great job last year. Again, when you just think about just general, the whole point of an offensive lineman, and this is what Rashawn Slater was very good at, is that he was very good at redirecting where these pass rushers are going, reading their body, They're bull rushing them, keeping their body firm, moving them to the right, moving them to the left, wherever their coverage wants to go. Very good at doing that. The problem with Storm, he's very bad at recovering when he goes left or right, right? Impossible. His footwork is not that great. His base is not that strong. And he's struggling. And again, when you look at some of these statistics down here, again, Zion's given up quite a bit, but you got to remember, Zion's a rookie, right? You can kind of understand that Zion is a rookie giving up some of those pressures. But Matt Filer, he's the anchor, man. He's good. And he did not do well. And it was interesting. I noticed a lot of the runs went to the right, which I thought was really interesting. Our right side last season was horrible. Very quickly, we're starting to see that our left side is becoming horrible with the injuries that we have, especially with Rashawn Slater out. So something to really think about, right? And again, bottom line, again, this is probably most likely scenario for next week. But, oh, my God, that's not the right situation. But there's another one that I want to go through, and this article brings it down pretty good. And, again, this is on Gridiron Heroics. I think it's a pretty good little article, nice little breakdown of potential options. The other thought is that Trey Pipkins get moved to the left side and Storm can get moved to the right. I think that could happen, right? I can see that happening because Pipkins is doing well, and Pipkins has played both sides also. That would not surprise me. I think this is probably the more likely scenario for next week against the Texans, just because I think it's kind of an easy fix. It's very simple, and I think you could make that switch without really mixing things up a whole lot. But again, when Storm was out there, it was interesting. I kept watching Herbert's footwork. He knew that he had no time on the left side. So he climbed up the pocket and usually hid behind our center, Will Clapp. And Will's actually done a great job, right? Now, there's arguments both ways about his protection schemes and really, is he calling the right protection schemes or not? And that's a big part of the center, right? And that's where Corey Lindsley is very good. And Corey Lindsley, again, he's a Pro Bowl center. There's no way you can replace a guy like Corey Lindsley and say, hey, look, a backup's going to step in and get the same type of production. He's done a great job, but he's not quite there. It's really interesting. So, again, I think this is probably the most likely scenario for this next week. It'll be interesting to see what some of the reporters like Daniel Popper and some of the other folks that are going to be talking about. So I'm really going to be curious to see how this plays out. So this is something to keep your eye on, guys, for sure. Again, we want to keep Herbert's blind side, and that's the left, right? That's not the right. And the reality is, again, you want to pick the right or left. You want the right solid, period. You want the right as solid as possible. Right now, Trey Pipkins is the guy. And you know what? It would be great for his resume moving forward, right? He's a right tackle, and if he's able to move to the left side and play well, guys, that is huge. He's gonna just have so much additional value moving forward. Now, there's another thought, and I like this thought to some degree, but again, Jamari Sawyer, again, I don't know that he's really ready to go. He has played left tackle, by the way, and I could see this potentially happening. Again, I don't think will happen. Again, Matt Filer's not playing great right now, as we already discussed. But the other thought is they're probably going to move Jamari Sawyer to left and right tackle this week during practice and just see how he does. He's obviously going to get a lot more snaps, and they're going to determine whether or not he can do it. Is this rook ready to go? Look, it's going to be a good opportunity for him to show what he can do as well, too. I know he was frustrated that he was drafted so low, but there's concerns, right? So there's some general concern. He's a big man, absolutely gigantic human being. His footwork is bad. There were a lot of things that were coming out of college that I think there were some concerns. I think there were some injury concerns and a few other things. The interesting thing about Sawyer, and we've talked about this quite a bit in the offseason, he's very versatile. He's played pretty much all up and down the line, so he's a great versatile guy. But again, the argument is he's not Storm Norton. As badly as we want to say Storm Norton has been, man, I would almost say he's sixes with Jamari Sawyer, right? And then you start asking yourself this question, what's the benefit? It's almost that conversation when you have like a rookie quarterback and you say, okay, well, you just want to bring him out there and just get his lumps and try to make it work. And that's sort of where you're at right now. And the line is difficult, guys. It is not easy when you got these guys that we showed you, Myles Garrett and Uchenna Nwosu, these people that, Melvin Ingram's, they're going to rip the head off the quarterback. And make no mistake, guys, the whole point of the line is to protect our crown jewel, which is Justin Herbert, and run the ball, which we've done a horrible job at. Now, I will say this. I do think Jamari Sawyer will probably be better at running the ball. So I like the concept of having Jamari Sawyer because he's a bigger guy. He's definitely more mobile and definitely has better work than Storm Norton. But again, Storm Norton's played all last year, more experience, knows the NFL better, knows how to work these guys. And I do think that's probably the most likely option moving forward. But it will be interesting to see what happens. I'm really curious to see where this goes, right? The line is going to be shifted. I think this is the most likely scenario. And I was going to do a whole video on this 100%, but I think this makes a lot of sense to me that they make this move. They flex Trey to the left and Storm to the right. And then I don't see where Jamari goes this week. If he has a good practice, who knows? Maybe he'll get a few snaps. We'll see what happens. Because, look, I like Jamari. Jamari would definitely help us with the running game. And I think that's really one thing we need to fix immediately, right? Because, look, at the end of the day, all they need to do is just key on Justin Herbert throwing the ball. You two shell, too high safety like we run. And, look, you're putting a roof over the top. There's no chance you're going to happen, especially with Guyton going down. You know, who knows if we can even run the ball at all because they're just going to key on pass. And if we can't get a push, which Jamari, I think, would do a much better job getting a push than Storm Norton. Guys, I understand that Brandon Staley's getting a lot of heat, and there's a lot of conversation around, like, it's week 3, and these injuries are mounting, and it's bad. And I just watched a couple of videos about the conditioning we're dealing with and all these different issues moving forward. I just really feel like there's a lot that can be discussed. And there's a lot of conversations where we have to come back and say, okay, how are we going to fix this? And this week is going to be very telling. Make no mistake about it, guys. I don't necessarily think this is the week where we have to hit the panic button, but we need to end this week 2-2. We do. We have to. And it starts with the line, right? That's the whole point of this video, is that you can't pass if you don't have a good line. You can't run the ball well if you don't have a good line. And right now, we don't have a good line. And a large part of it is because of injuries. But you can also argue that a lot of the play calling has been pretty horrible from Joe Lombardi. He's been very predictable and uninspired. And so, guys, what do you guys think as far as the line is concerned? I know it's something that we've discussed quite a bit on our videos moving forward. Again, we're going to give you updates when we start hearing things, if we see some interesting little tidbits of information. But I really wanted to do a little video on the line, give you my general thoughts. Put some comments down below, guys. And again, Wednesday, we are going to be going live with a Texans beat reporter and talking about the upcoming game against the Texans this week. So, as always, guys, bolt up, and we'll see you guys in the next one.